Good afternoon, everyone. It is the 10th of October, 2024, and bit of a weird day in the markets. CPI came out fairly strong out the gate to start the morning, caused a lot of sell-off, but we'll have a look at the equities in a moment. Let's start with Bitcoin today. So Bitcoin, this is the daily chart of Bitcoin. 200-day moving average is declining, 20-day moving average is declining. And we seem to have had some profit taking here this afternoon. It's pulled back. It looked like this looked like it was going to form a higher low and then potentially going to help us form a higher high. Now, it looks like we might just be getting some consolidation here. Maybe we can kind of consolidate down like this and, kind of get going after or something crazy like that. But generally, I think maybe we are consolidating. If we do seem to take more profit taking and we don't find any support along the way, I would say that we're probably going to end up down from this anchor from the October move. That's kind of where we found support on previous occasions on these bounces. And right now we're bouncing from the anchor from this August 5th low. So Bitcoin's pulling back. Usually it could be a little bit of a red light that, hey, look, equities might follow suit here. We're at all-time highs in some of the markets, but just be cognizant of what's going on in Bitcoin, because obviously people are feeling a little less, risk-taking in order to buy Bitcoin and kind of hold it long-term. So, or short-term, I should say. So really, just be cognizant of Bitcoin. If we have a quick look at the 2-hour time frame, the 5-day moving average is now declining, and we're right down finding supply at the anchor from this low. So Bitcoin needs some time. I think it needs to consolidate. I would like to see it maybe pull back to this 55k mark, but I have a feeling if we do pull back, it's going to continue on going down. We'll see where it ends up. Let's look at the equities. The S&P 500 continues on to make all-time highs again today. It got down lower this morning, and it's kind of been a bit of an inside day, and maybe we never actually hit all-time highs. Maybe I take that back. We were pretty damn close anyway. However, we're above a rising 5-day moving average, and that just seems to prove it, that regardless of the level of volume that we're getting here, it just seems to be going upwards, because that 5-day moving average is pointing upwards. Now, we're still above a 50, a 20, and a 200-day moving average, and all appropriate volume-weighted average prices. We are innocent until the market tells us otherwise. NASDAQ broke this high today. Yesterday it came back. It obviously bounced off that recent high, pulled back. That's where we saw that gap this morning and made a higher high. It's pulled back and it's made a higher low. And we're above our rising 5-day moving average. We are 11 points off of all-time highs. Nasdaq's looking strong. Again, same thing. It's guilty until the market tells us otherwise. Semiconductors had made another. Well, they came up to this level here of 255, and that's where we found some supply, and it's now pulled back. Maybe this is a higher low, and tomorrow we break through it. We'll have to see what NVDA is doing in a minute. But if you're long here in NVIDIA, in the semiconductors, I would say know where your appropriate stops are. We showed some weakness this morning on open, but we are above that rising 5-day moving average, and we continue on up. Biotechs, probably no point in talking about this. We continue to sell off. They are now in a downtrend. We broke this trend line. We're below a 5-day moving average. We're below a 20, a 50-day moving average. We're heading down to that 200-day moving average and the year-to-date volume-weighted average price. I think ultimately, biotechs need a lot of time to recover. It's not something that I'm going to be necessarily buying in. I had a trade in over here. I sold. It's on pullback. Russell 2000 is just an absolute mess. I'm just going to quickly clean this chart up. Russell 2000, I got long in it yesterday, expecting it to break this higher high. And all it did this morning was sell off brutally. Made me lose a whole bunch of profit from the week. It gapped lower. And I got out under, I think, I can't remember where it was, but it was a pretty full risk unit loss. Let's just say that. Actually, I think it was more than that. I think it ended up being like 2 times the full risk unit loss. It gapped down so far. And it showed a little bit of strength here at the end of the day. It made a higher low, but it's now below the 5-day moving average, and the 5-day moving average will continue to start to decline here in the next few days as we kind of get into this data. So Russell 2000 shit show. Don't even bother getting involved. Energy names did well today. This was obviously, you know, a nice consolidated pullback. Found the buyers from this anchor on the volume weighted average price from the recent high, and it's made a pattern of higher highs and higher lows. So it's now above the week to date volume weighted average price, which is ultimately off that recent peak high as well. It seems to be holding there. Found some supply this morning. They say if you're involved, best stop probably go under today's low of 91.34 and don't give any of those profits back. Financials pulled back a little bit today, traded under volume weighted average price for the week. Looks like they found some supply here at the 5-day moving average as well as the week today volume weighted average price. We're teetering on these all-time highs again. It looks like we potentially made all-time highs yesterday and again this morning. If you're involved, there's no way your stops are. You're at all-time highs. It's you know, just be ready for some profit taking. That's all. Not going to look at those. Have a quick look at bonds. Bonds made looks like they may have potentially made a bit of a bottom here today. Again, well, we'll only know in hindsight. But we're below this. We're below all the appropriate moving averages and volume weighted average price and everything else. So we're in a pretty significant downtrend. We're going to need a bit of a rally here to start get this 5-day moving average to flatten out. Bonds is not one to get involved in right now. We'll run a few minutes through the kind of the Mag 7 stocks. Apple did well today. If you got involved here, you know, it kind of traded an inside day of yesterday, but that would be kind of expected after this pretty strong move. But it showed a lot of strength here at the end of the market. If you got in today and held, then, you know, hopefully you have your stop under at least the low of today. Meta continued to sell off here on this pullback. It's done just, it looks like it's just a nice consolidation. Pull back to the month-to-date volume weighted average price, which is this purple line. We're above a rise in 50, 20, and 200-day moving average, so the primary trend is higher. Unfortunately, the 50-day moving average, unless we get a rally, will start to decline in the next few days as we start getting into tomorrow's data. So keep it, if you're in Meta, just be cognizant of what's going on at the top here. It is just in a big uptrend, and it probably needs a decent consolidation and pullback. Microsoft, let's clear up this chart. Let's have a look what's going on with Microsoft. We're below a 200-day moving average year-to-date volume weighted average price. We're below a declining 20-day moving average, and we have a 50 that's flat, which is flattening to rising. Now we're getting rid of this data. Unfortunately, that's actually a benefit because we still have a rising 200. So with Microsoft, we have if we can get rallied up tomorrow above the high of today, 417, then I think on Monday we'll have a flat. Sorry, we'll have a flat to rising 5-day moving average on Monday, and potentially if we get higher than this tomorrow we'll have a flat to rising 5-day moving average. We have a rising 200 and a rising 50. And certainly when we get into next week, because we'll be getting into this data here on the 50. Now, if you want to look at the bottom of a potential start of a new trend, I would say if we make a high above this, then I think you're good to get involved with maybe a half risk unit, depending. But again, keep in mind the rest of the market's at all-time highs. We could see some further profit taking, but we carry on upwards. Google, wouldn't get involved here right now. It's got a declining 50, 20-day moving average is going to start declining in the next few days, 200-day. It's kind of just a mess, Google. I'm never a big fan of trading it. NVDA, I stupidly sold my shares in here today. As you can tell, I probably didn't have a very good day in the markets. We are bordering about $6 off that all-time high, and we are just making higher highs and higher lows. It looked like it was going to come down and break my stop today, and I end up panic selling over here when I was having issues with the rest of my stocks to try hold some profit, and it ended up getting going for the day, and it went on to make another $3. So if you're still involved in NVIDIA, I would say your best case stop should go under today's low at 131. What is it? 131, 130.95 would probably be my stop. 5 cents under the low of today. Don't give back any of those gains. I had a nice trade in this. I got in at 123. Sold at 130, 132.10 or 131.90. I can't remember. I sold some along the way. I made, I think, on average about $7 a share. So it was a decent trade. Amazon looks like it just had a bit of a consolidation day after yesterday's big move. We still have that decline in 20, but the 50-day moving average is going to start rising in tomorrow, as well as the 200 is already rising. 5-day moving average is just starting to rise. Tomorrow it will be flattened a little bit more, but once we get into Monday, it looks like we're gonna have a nice we're gonna have a nice rising 5-day moving average. So if you're looking to get in Amazon, I would say best thing I would want to see is a quick pullback in the morning and then get going above the volume weighted average price for the day. That would be my best guess. And last of all, we look at Tesla. I took a little bit of a gamble with Tesla yesterday. It didn't play out well. Unfortunately, it's still, and that is, when you go against having yesterday when I bought, it had a declining 5-day moving average, and it did for most of the day. Now, it looks like it has an inclining 5-day moving average here, but it's just starting to flatten and decline. And that's because now we're getting into this data here for tomorrow, and we are down here. So we're going to see that 5-day moving average continue to come down tomorrow. So we would need a pretty significant rally in Tesla to get it back up above the 5-day moving average and, get above and going that way. That would, if something like this happened, then maybe it's worth a shot. But if you just look at the way Tesla just trades, I mean, there's just these big erratic pullbacks. It's a very hard stock to trade, and I think you'd have a lot more success in smaller stocks personally. But generally, I would stay away from Tesla. I lost a chunk of change in it, trying to maybe it'll be a little bit early on the prediction of the rising 5-day moving average as we got into today's data here. So learn from my mistakes that, until you get a higher high above that flat to 5-day moving average, confirm that first before getting involved. That would at least lower the probability as much as possible. However, we are all human. And that is the analysis for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and have a great rest of your Thursday.